Did you see the school shooting that just occurred a few hours ago?
I did not. You were the first person to tell me about it.
Really? Well, I have an article here. There aren't a lot of details. So apparently, we had 3 killed and 6 others shot, I believe. Now, that could be subject to change. We know that details always end up changing with this stuff, so I'm not going to sit here and rush into any kind of details. But what I have seen, so just to read this article, give everyone a perspective, it says 3 people, all believed to be students, have been killed. 6 other people are injured, and the suspected shooter is in custody after a shooting at Oxford High School on Tuesday, authorities said. It says the shooting happened around 12:55 p.m. Tuesday, November 30th, in the section of the school where many history classes take place. He probably got mad at them teaching CRT. That's a joke. I'm sorry. That's insensitive for what's going on at the moment. And there's no excuse for any kind of school shooting. And Zach, in a moment, we are going to talk about what we think causes this. But let me finish reading here. It says, police said they have responded to an active shooting situation with multiple patrol and EMS units along with SWAT and aviation units. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office confirmed that one suspected shooter is in custody and officials recovered a handgun, they said. So not an AR-15, is a handgun. It says officials don't believe there are any other threats at this time, but they are searching the school. A lockdown was issued and has not been lifted. And I believe all the students were supposed to go. Oh, here we go. It says one shooting victim was shot in the face. Oh, Jesus.
Dang.
Sources told Local 4 that students' condition has not been confirmed. Buses are showing up at the school to bring students home. Evacuated students were told to convene at Mayer, north of the school. I don't know what it's Meijer. So I apologize if I'm not saying that right. Michigan State police troopers were also called to the high school to assist, authorities said. 2 p.m. update. This afternoon, there was an active shooter at Oxford High School. Says, district officials said in a message to parents, Oakland County Sheriff's Department has secured the scene. Says that students and staff are systemically being evacuated to the Meyer Garden Center. I'm guessing that's how you say that. And maybe picked up there. Any students with their own transportation has been allowed to leave. All other district schools are in lockdown for safety purposes and are in no danger. So, Zach, this is something that we've seen quite a bit of with these school shootings. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Right. This happened where again? This was in the UK?
No, this is in Michigan.
Michigan. Okay, sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, not in the UK. So it's funny that you say the UK because when I was looking up Oxford High School, I came across Oxfordshire Shooting School, which is in the UK. And I only because I had seen the name of the high school, I knew that wasn't right. It was just ironic that that's what my first search was. That's what popped up. And I guess that's where they show people over there in the UK how to clay shoot, it looked like. But we see this way too much. And my problem with this is it's going to be politicized. And it's going to be advocated against guns and gun rights. This is always something that comes up. It always comes up saying that because this kid goes in there and shoots his fellow students, that it's a gun's fault. Or it's the fact that he had access to a gun. And the left will say that we need to get rid of guns. School shootings are not a gun issue, Zach.
Agreed.
I would like to know this. Go ahead.
Well, as we've always said, guns are tools. They're an inanimate object that, if left alone, would not have, it wouldn't do anything.
No. Well, okay, so here was my experiment. I told you I was going to do a gun example. I used another word. I don't know why I'm having a brain fart, but I said I was going to a gun demonstration today. I actually have 2 of them, Zach. But behind me, I have my nice, trustworthy Wyndham weaponry, AR-15, loaded with 5.56 rounds. 30 of them. Then I have my 22 Magnum, Kel-Tec, holds 30 rounds, also loaded. Okay? Now, you can't see this, Zach. But the people on Facebook can. Both guns are loaded behind me. Pointed in a safe direction, which means that they're pointed at the wall upstairs, and if they go off, they'll hit the house next to me. But they're loaded. We're going to wait for these to go off. Now, they're going to sit here and talk to each other. They're best friends. These 2 guns they have a great relationship. They're going to sit here and talk to each other. And it's going to be tempting for them to fire. We'll wait and see if they shoot at any time. Okay? Without my help. So we'll do that demonstration. Then I want to do another demonstration here in a little bit. But these school shootings go back to not kids having access to firearms. If it wasn't a firearm, they would go get some diesel fuel and some fertilizer and do what the guy in the Oklahoma City bombers did and blow shit up. The amount of access that these kids have to information on the internet, they will find a way to go and create devastation and hurt the people that they want to hurt. It's the same thing goes for other people that are doing bad things. Other terrorists that want to do bad things, right? If you take away one means of following through with a mission that they have, they're just going to find another way to do it. And unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. But I think that a lot of times our politicians are so focused on, trying to make things safe or taking the guns away and taking away the tools that was used in the shooting, and not the underlying cause of why the fuck the kid was so pissed to go in there and want to hurt someone. I have been in many fights growing up. Not one time did I ever consider shooting someone. So Mr. A says, you mean that SUV didn't kill those people in Wisconsin? Come on, man. Mr. A, you weren't on the podcast yesterday. We fucking talked about this, okay? No. It depends who you talk to. But I will say, the argument I made yesterday was that the SUV had a better chance of being responsible for the death of those kids than a firearm did. Because there's a lot of things that could go wrong with the SUV, but still comes back to maintenance and human error with an SUV. So no, an SUV is not fucking responsible for killing anyone. It's the guy that was driving it. Just like when it comes to the firearm. The handgun in this situation is not the reason for the shooting. The person that is firing off the handgun is the reason for the shooting. I know that details always end up changing with this. We have one side of the aisle that just cannot get this through their head. And I've said this before, Zach, and you've heard me say this. I think firearm safety should be taught in schools. We teach kids how to have sex with each other and how to use condoms right. And as I stated yesterday, condoms are responsible for more deaths of children annually than firearms are in the history of the United States. But we're going to teach kids how to use a condom correctly and how to have sex. We're going to teach kids how to drive a car, which is a tool. More kids will die drunk driving and texting while driving or driving without a license than they will by being shot. However, there are more gun owners than there are car owners, probably. There's more guns than there are cars in the United States.
Yeah, that's fair. I was about to say, I don't know if more people own guns rather than cars. A lot of people drive a car.
Owned. There we go. That's the better. More guns are owned. Not so many. That's because, you can own multiple guns. But what I'm getting at is that these 2 firearms right here that are sitting here loaded behind me, they've been loaded since I started the show 20 minutes ago, and they have not fired one shot off. Same thing when it comes to these school shootings. We don't teach firearm safety. The other thing, every kid should have to go hunting. And they should have to be a part of killing an animal like a hog or a deer. You know why? Because then you learn the value of taking a life. I guarantee you this kid was not a hunter. Now, I don't know anything about the suspect, but I can promise you that I'm 95% sure that he's never been hunting in his life. When you go hunting and you kill an animal like a hog or a deer or something big or something as big as you get the value of, oh my God, I just took a life. You learn to appreciate it. You learn the reasoning behind why you would go do that. It's sad. It's really sad to see. But the underlying problem, Zach, is not the firearm or access to a firearm. The underlying problem is the way that kids treat each other. I bet you social media had more to play in this role than the firearm did. 100%. There was probably some kind of bullying. There was something that happened that caused this kid to get pissed off and go get a pistol and start shooting people. The same thing with the Nicholas... Can't remember his last name. Nicholas, the one that did the Parkland shooting. Those kids picked on him a lot. The Columbine, same thing. Those kids got picked on all the time. My dad always told me, he said, if you picked on someone, I'll beat your ass. We don't bully people. I got bullied a lot. I got in a lot of fights. But you don't bully people. You treat everyone with respect. But we don't have enough parents that want to address that. We don't want to address, we want to address mental health for athletes. Like Simone Biles, who goes overseas and quits in the middle of a fucking event on her team because she was losing. But we don't want to address bullying in schools. No, we want to blame it on a fucking inanimate object. We want to blame it on something so we can try to take away another freedom instead of focusing on the actual underlying problem. I wonder, maybe COVID comes into play with this. Maybe if these kids weren't stuck at fucking home all the time for the last year, worrying about some virus that kills like 10 kids total. I wonder, maybe they'd be more social. Maybe he would have had a better relationship with his peers.
Have they given any information on this?
No. They got him in custody, and he is utilizing his Fifth Amendment right to not talk.
It's cool.
And then they say they collected
it's cool it's cool to be able to use the amendments, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's funny when all the people that want to, abolish the Electoral College or abolish the Second Amendment or abolish the First Amendment, they go and they fucking get in trouble, and damn if they ain't using that Fifth Amendment.
It's just kind of funny.
That's what aggravates me is I know people are going to have a difference of opinion. And I know we have right and left and in the middle and whatever, and that's fine. That's good to have differences of opinions because you come together, you argue about it, and you come up with solutions. The problem is that there's no logic on one side of this argument for a lot of people. Like the left has not come up with a logical argument when it comes to gun violence. They just say it's the gun's fault. No, it's not the fucking gun's fault. I mean, it's not. What other example? I can't use the SUV example because, as Mr. A said, the SUV, according to the left, is responsible for killing the people in the parade. They wanted to fry Kyle Rittenhouse's ass for defending himself because he had an AR-15. But they didn't want to address the fact that he was getting his ass whooped. That there was an underlying cause as to why he shot 3 people. Even though it's all documented. It's sad. It really is. I can't stand seeing these school shootings. But I wish that we had politicians that didn't just get up there and bitch about banning fucking assault rifles. Especially when, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to want to ban assault rifles, and then they're going to categorize a handgun as an assault rifle. Which is going to be kind of conflicting to their argument, because now they're going to start saying that a handgun is an assault gun. Well, then we have to say a fucking hammer is an assault hammer. Because anything that's used to assault someone is an assault weapon.
What was it? Was it a 9mm?
It didn't say. It just said they collected a handgun. So he could have used another gun. That's just the gun they got off of him. I don't know.
Yeah, but I bet it was a 9mm.
You shoot 9 people with a handgun? That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. Again, it depends on what it is. Might have been a 12-round mag, 14.
That's still, dude. It's hard to hit people with a handgun.
No, I don't disagree with you by any means. I'm not saying shooting a handgun's easy.
So I would imagine, I mean, you shot 9 people, and he would have had to been walking around and doing that. Like, if you're shooting people as they're going away and you shot 9 people, either that guy's a freaking ace of a shot, or he had another weapon. I would imagine. I think that's gonna come out that's what it was. But I mean, what are your thoughts on this thing?
Well, it's sad, first off, that once again something like this happened. It's also sad that since this happened, everybody knows what, I think narrative is the wrong word, but what the, I guess, verbiage that everybody's going to use is going to be. Because, I mean, it's the same always when all this stuff happens. It's going to be turned into a political thing, 100%. 100% going to be turned into a political thing, and it's going to be used to, again, try to give reason as to why the Second Amendment shouldn't be a thing, which shouldn't be the case.
But it's sad, going back to the school shooting and going back to, what can be changed. What can be changed is, I think, socializing. I think that a lot of it starts at home. A lot of it is family structure. How many of these school shooters have a 2-parent home? I would like to see what the statistics are on that, and I'm sure I could go and do the research. But like the kid Nicholas, I can't remember his last name, but the guy that did the Parkland shooting, and sorry, I'm just replying. But the guy that did the Parkland shooting, right? He was like living with like family friends. He wasn't even living with his parents. And there's just a lot of other factors that we need to focus on other than firearms.
Yeah, but all right, so let me ask you this. So I agree with you. I definitely think it definitely starts at home, for sure. But then my question to you is this. How would you go about bringing that conversation, knowledge, teaching into the home? Besides hunting.
Well,
I'm also with you on that one.
You're talking about conversation, knowledge, and teaching of firearms. If you own a gun, you should have that knowledge.
Agreed.
Because you should go through. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna buy a firearm, you should know how to use it. You should know how to store it. You should teach your kids what to do, what not to do, all that. Okay, that's different. I'm talking about culturally. We have a society where 50% or more people get divorced. We have a society where a lot of kids come up in a broken home. and they're not getting a lot of they're not learning how to handle bullying or handle confrontation. Right? That's what I'm talking about, Zach, when it starts at the home. I'm not talking about the firearm, because by the time it gets to the point that the kid's going to fucking go shoot someone, it's too late.
Agreed.
Okay? It is too late by that time. What matters is, culturally, why are we getting to the point where the kid is getting so upset? And it goes both ways on the kids that were bullying him. Why are they feel that it's okay to go pick on this? You know why? Because teens will be teens, and kids will be stupid. And bullying has been around for the history of time, but why are there more school shootings now than there were back then? There's just as many guns. So I would say, Zach, my argument is the fact that we have a family structure in the United States that is going backwards.
I can agree with that.
I mean, what is the divorce statistic in the United States? I want to say it's around 50%.
It's pretty high. People don't make it very long.
Let's look it up. About 50% of couples divorce. 60% of second marriages end in divorce, and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. If you don't make it right the second time, I feel like it's just kind of a dead deal. Yeah, it's sad, but no one wants to have this conversation. No one wants to talk about, we're...
That's because most people don't like talking anymore.
Exactly, because if you say something, you get fucking offended. How many politicians have been married 2 or 3 times? A fucking lot. How many actors have been married 2 or 3 times? You read People magazine, you see fucking actors going through each other and coming back to each other and going through everyone else's fucking girlfriend 5-6 times a day. They get married after 5 minutes. Then they get divorced and they marry this other person. They get divorced. They're losing all this money, whatever. And that's what these people see. You go on TikTok and you see these girls shaking their ass on TikTok, and you see them, joking about all these different guys and all that stuff. And that's a part of society. I get that. And I'm guilty of that too. But that's not good. I think, and I'm not a religious person. You're more religious than I am, Zach, but I think that religion does help with certain aspects of this.
Agreed.
When it comes to being married and settling down and having a family, because the way that human beings work is we need structure. Having a dad that whoops your ass when you do something wrong is the best thing that can happen for a kid.
Agreed.
Probably the best thing that ever happened to me was growing up in a family where my dad was very hard on me. You just have a different respect.
Well, it's not necessarily you have a different respect. You have a different viewpoint on life. I mean, life for you at that point is, I don't know. I don't know how to, I guess I don't know how to verbalize what my thoughts are, but you are taught to communicate and express your opinions, but at the same time, when expressing your opinions, you understand that if you can have your opinion and you can express your own opinion, then somebody else can have their opinion and they can express their opinion.
Yeah.
And regardless of somebody's opinion, you give respect and understanding to said opinion because that's what you expect in return. I think I don't know, and I think you and I kind of grew up the same way. Maybe not identical, but pretty close. Like being taught that life lesson, of accepting an opinion and understanding that you have to respect somebody. I just lost my train of thought for some reason.
I mean, I get what you're saying, though. I see where you're going. You need structure. You need a father in the home. You need a mom in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to be honest, because if you want to talk science and statistics, I believe that the statistics point towards a two-parent home with a mom and a dad far outweigh beneficially than a divorce setting. Or
100%.
not saying that it can't be successful. There are many children that grow up with just one parent or with divorced parents. But statistically speaking, it is better to have both parents in the home.
Agreed. Well, because you get that I don't know, I guess not necessarily harder structure, but you get the more firm and strict upbringing, I guess, from one parent, and then from the other parent, normally you get the softer understanding side to said situations. Like for me, that stronger, firm structure was my dad, and then the softer side was my mom. Like if I got in trouble and, my dad was super heated about it and, he just got done spanking me or whatever it may be, my mom would come in and she would help me understand why, and, she'd talk to me about it and all that kind of stuff. And that dual parenting that you're talking about in the, dual parent household is, it's important because you get both ends of the spectrum. You're not just getting, beat and then left in your room alone to cry and think about, oh man, in return, I think spanking because I did this.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And we could go on about this all day. About why kids get to where, I think a lot of it comes back to, we're softening, as a society, we're pussifying our society, especially men, because let's be honest, most of these school shootings are white men. And we are pussifying the white male in the United States. We're making it okay to be offended. We're having these fucking safe zones at colleges and all that stuff. Arizona State, Zach, students at Arizona State are trying to lobby against the school to have Kyle Rittenhouse kicked out of Arizona State because that's where he's going to be attending college.
Really?
Not to mention that this kid is fucking innocent and was defending himself. Something that I hope that every one of those people would do in the exact same situation.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my 2 firearms back here loaded have not fired a round yet. So, but we're pussifying men and women in society, but mainly men. We're saying it's okay to be offended instead of saying deal with it.
Well, hold on. Don't just say deal with it. Deal with it in the correct manner.
When I say deal with it, I'm saying learn to just take it. Who gives a fuck what someone says about you? And you know why we care? Because we have a lot of gullible people. We have people that believe the first news article they read. We have people that believe, their favorite podcaster when he says something. We have people that believe the first news anchor that says something, right or wrong. They believe it. That's why we have defamation suits, because everyone believed that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist, right? And then he shot 3 black people. We have people that believe the first thing that they see or hear. And when these kids start picking on people, they start saying, oh, that girl's a slut. She slept with 5 people. And she didn't. She just had sex with her boyfriend. But now the whole school thinks that she's a hoe. Right? We always judge books by their cover, and we shouldn't do that. And they don't teach that enough. But at the same time, we need to teach kids to, who cares what people think? You do you. And this is something that I think as you grow older, you learn to kind of take on. You learn that other people's opinion of you don't matter as much. But there are people that don't ever get to that point.
No, there's not.
And I don't know how to start teaching that. The only way I know how to get that into someone's head is you do it from a young age. You say, look, who fucking cares what some idiot at your school says about you? And you just teach it. And being hard on your kids, Sorry, but yelling at your kids prepares them because they're probably going to be yelled at when they go and play sports or whatever. Not everyone's the same. Not everyone takes aggression and being yelled at and cussed and all that stuff the same, and I get that. But at the same time, you still got to be able to...
You still learn when it happens.
Yes. Playing sports
and if
helps
you...
out. How many athletes are committing these atrocities? I want to know that statistic. I don't think any.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any athletes.
How many football
anybody.
players, the most aggressive sport we have here in the United States, how many, other than the UFC, how many football players are out shooting up schools? Usually, probably never, because a lot of the time they're out taking their aggression out on the football field. It's legalized. My coach used to tell us in high school. Football field's the only place you can go and freaking run through someone's face and not get arrested for it. If you go do the same thing over there at the mall, you're going to go to jail.
That's true.
You can take your aggression out.
I think that's another thing that people don't take into consideration, is healthy ways of releasing aggression. And I'm not saying go out and blow stuff up or anything like that, but different forms of releasing aggression correctly.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it does come down to blowing something up or something like that, I'm sure in most places, there's some type of shooting range or large area where you could go pay to blow something up.
Shooting can be a stress reliever. I'm not saying it can't.
Oh, it can for sure.
And doing that, but then if you're gonna do that, Zach, you need to make sure that it's someone who understands.
Agreed.
Firearms.
Agreed.
And it just it goes back to what I said in the beginning. Okay, a lot of kids don't know the value of a life.
Mm-hmm.
They're sheltered. They're not around the firearms. Most of these people that are shooting them, of these schools probably didn't shoot all that much before then. And, it's just the pussification of the United States as a society, and I can't harp on this enough. We have to have a good family structure, and we need to not be so soft on children. We cannot be so soft on children.
See, and then there's another thing too.
And be tougher.
That's another thing too. Talking about separated family homes, that kind of stuff. When you have that, then you get parents who are less hard on kids because they want to be that liked parent.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they want to be that parent that gives them everything. And
right. Well, not necessarily that gives them everything. The parent that they pick, that they want to be around.
Yeah, no. I think that there's a problem when a parent is a best friend.
Agreed. Parent is a parent.
Exactly.
I think once the child is like a grown adult, and I mean by
like my and
right.
my dad's relationship now, right? Probably one of my best friends. You and your dad for sure. And
yeah.
But like growing up, it was just different. I wasn't like, you need to be a parent and not a best friend.
Right.
You can be friends, and be open with your kids and stuff like that, but you need to parent them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's sad to see. It's really sad to see.
It is. Very much so.